teeth, no sharp claws. No one's afraid of me. I'm insignificant. I'm not a big hunk of meat. I can't feed a whole bunch of people. People would look at me and say, ah, you're insignificant. But he said, even insignificant beings are capable of great, great deeds. And every single thing that is here on this land is significant. It is waiting for its time to do what it must do and was brought here to do. So you must take care of everything that's here. Make sure that everything that's here stays here. You make room for it. You take care of it. You have responsibility for everything that's here, because one day it will come forward and do what it was meant to do. Never forget that. He said, that is so important, I'm going to leave you a symbol. And with that, Swarwarhikan hopped and grew and hopped and grew and grew, and he threw his nose to the sky and he became a mountain. He became Frog Mountain up the Slocan Valley, who to this very day reminds us, Sinixt people, of the love and generosity of Swarwarhikan, and also that we have a responsibility for everything that's here, because whether we believe it's significant or not, it truly is significant and does have a job to do. The end. There's bits about that story, like, do you think that's a true story? No?
Yes.
Yes? How would you, if you thought it was a true story, how could you, how would you prove it? There's a science. There is a science called geology. Now, if somebody came up to you and said to you, oh, you know, this was all underwater one day, long time ago, and you'd go, I think you're lying. That's not true. And somebody would go out to a bank somewhere and they'd take their little hammer and they'd go, choo, 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 choo. Look at this fossil. This shellfish lived under the ocean. This was a water creature. It lived 1,000,000 years ago. And what if somebody came and said, oh, you know, 1,000,000 years or so ago, these big giants walked the land. They'd rip you from shred to shred. They were, you know, like as long as half as long as a football field, and you'd go, ah, you're lying. But you can go down to Utah and see how massive those bones are and know that those beings walked this earth during a time that we, you know, we read about, and you can bring them to life in your mind, but in reality, it's hard to believe. And of course, since Jurassic Park, you kind of even have a better idea of how it might have been. So, about the land, the geological record, land record is, you can actually go through the land, you can say, oh, 5,000 years ago, there's that volcano that erupted in Japan, and that left a sheen of ash around the globe, so we know it happened in that time frame. Oh, and here, there was a fire that went through the land 100 years ago or 200 years ago. There's this that happened on the land. Well, somewhere around 15,000 years ago, there was a drought that lasted over 2 decades on this landscape. So, there was a massive drought. And the story, as far as I see it, was a time when the mountains were being formed here on this landscape. So that's how my people measure time. Things were still moving. Things were still coming to be on this landscape. So, you know, thousands and thousands of years ago. I want to tell you the theory of that story because it's not proven, but hopefully one day it will be proven, and it's only my theory. Only mine. Do you think those people that made it, that left, made it? Where do you think they went? Pardon?
South.
South? Were you going to say something? Yeah. South. Well, my belief is, I'm convinced they went west. I'm convinced my people who left thousands of years ago are the Coast Salish people. They speak many common words with our language. We were actually weavers, or, you know, we go way high into the mountains and gather goat wool, sheep wool. We had these bear dogs that are extinct now. Wool, we were massive weavers. The Cowichan sweaters are part of that Salish practice. The language is the same, even though they've existed there for thousands of years. They've incorporated some of the languages that they live with or have lived with into their linguistic base now. But that's why they are called Coastal Salish people, because they have a lot of common words with us Salish speakers. So to me, I think that's where they went and exist to this very day. So maybe one day, one of you brainiacs will study DNA or something and be able to prove that theory of the connectedness. People think, oh, well, you know, people didn't travel these massive distances, but they did. The Dene up north, who live up north, are actually directly related to they call themselves Dene also, the Navajo in Arizona. So a group of Athabascans speaking Dene came from the northern territories, migrated down to Arizona. They live down there, they surround the Hopi Reserve, they speak exactly the same language, except the Dene down south don't even have a word for fish. But the Dene up north live on fish. And the Dene up north will go down and listen to the Dene, the Navajos in the south, speak their same language. And a lot of Dene Navajo folks go up north and pilgrimage back to where they know their root as a people is. Even though the people up north don't want to live in the desert, and the people in the desert certainly don't want to go to freezing cold country, they still acknowledge that they are the same people. So many times, given many circumstances, people did split off and exist in other areas thousands of miles apart, and totally different climates, totally different lifestyles of existence. So, you've been really good listeners. I'm going to let you have a break now. 10 minutes? Is that what you give? 15 minutes? We'll see you in 15 and we'll finish this.